I want to preface it by saying this. Unions, I'm not the fan. I've never been a fan of these. Saying this as someone that worked in the corporate world. Obviously, the fact that they take your monies and then you have, depending on what laws exist, this sort of requirement to be a part of these unions who do whatever the fuck they want. It's just another level of almost bureaucracy is more so what it is. But we've seen definitely now it's just an excuse to put for a lot of these people to become politically and socially active. You see what happens in teachers unions and how they don't, why the fuck they donate money to like candidates and all of that. So I'm not the biggest fan of the overall concept. Hopefully the ones that do exist that I will at least tolerate, not be a part of, but tolerate are the ones that are aroused voluntarily, not coercion or being forced into it or anything. But this is a hilarious one. So Image, which is one of the big comic book companies not named Marvel DC, 9 Image Comics employees announced that they have formed a union and are demanding improvements to their work conditions, but also the ability to cancel publications that do not align with their moral values. Let's see what happens. The union, called Comic Book Workers United and represented by the Communications Workers of America, announced their establishment on a website and Twitter. And as you can see, some of us right now, we're going to go through it. Let's see what this is about. They wrote, We, the workers of Image Comics, have formed a union for years. Comics publishing workers have watched our professional efforts support creators and delight readers. Sadly, we also have watched the same labor be taken for granted at best and exploited at worst. Keeping our heads above water was the new normal before the pandemic. Since its onset, we have expected to take on larger workloads with fewer resources. Our workforce and the comic book and publishing industry as a whole is overtaxed and undervalued. Okay. We the work, and this is what they say. And you can see the Twitter right here. Also, this is what they say. This is detrimental not only to general staff, but also to the creators we are paid to serve and the audience they in turn work to entertain. Our labor is integral to the comic book industry. It requires specialized skill, dedication, and makes quality publishing possible. This is what the union claimed. They went on. We love, and I'm covering this from Bounding into Comics, by the way. I don't remember if I mentioned that. We love what we do, but loving what you do doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't ask for improvements to your work conditions. I don't disagree with that. It is with this in mind and with great hope for the future of Image Comics and the comic book industry itself that we announce our intent to form a union and request voluntary recognitions. This should not be a radical or revolutionary. That sounds like something Bernie would say. It's not a radical idea. He says that all the time. It is, in fact, a natural development for a company that started the way Image did. In the early stages of organizing, we looked to Image's founders for inspiration. Their dreams of self-determination and more equitable treatment in the industry they loved and helped make successful are also our dreams. And he says, or they continue, this is getting funny. We are honored to grow their legacy by taking this step to give all comic book industry professionals, regardless of title, the same rights, guarantees, security, and protections which the founders sought when they broke away from the big two to start their own company. Jim Valentino made a comment on social media celebrating a union accomplishment. That was the moment we knew that this could work. Despite years of union busting and anti-organization sentiments in the American workforce, we know that Image has at its heart a desire to be first when it comes to doing the right thing for comic workers. That's why we know we will win, because our success in the company's our success is the company's success. Our success is the creator's success. Our success is the reader's success. That's not how it works at all. I think you're misunderstanding how markets work, but generally people that just perform a specialized skill don't always understand economy, like at all in some cases. This announcement was signed by Ryan Brewer, Leanna Carter, Marla. I don't know any of these names, to be fair. But most of them are, well, it's a couple dudes in there. Ryan and John and Drew. Yeah, it's a couple of dudes. I thought they were all women. But no, just most of them are women, it looks like. Along with their announcement, they also revealed 9 goals. This is what they hope to accomplish. First, they want to foster a more competitive industry as a whole through salary and workload transparency for all existing proposed job titles. Employees industry-wide should know what they and their peers are working for and they can expect from future employment. This is something you've heard discussed among people in a bunch of different industries where they suggest that you should be more open about how much you make. That's kind of been a taboo thing, and certainly in American culture, because, you know, of that reason. They think that, oh, well, somebody might be getting the shit end of the stick in the event that y'all aren't openly discussing how much y'all work. And a lot of this work for comic book stuff is contracted anyway. So I don't understand how, number one, what exactly they are pushing for in that regards, because it is on scale. Everybody has their different amounts of what they would charge, like let's say for artists per page, because of how talented really they are and how much the market is going for. So I don't see how a union would in itself make it more competitive. They also said, secondly, they want to improve staff morale through annual staff and management reviews to assess performance, workload, and whether there is a clear need to expand the department, craft a new role, and increase compensation for employees who have taken on a larger quantity or more complex suite of tasks. Interesting. If we did some honest assessment of the current American comic book culture, a lot of y'all would be without a job. Continue going. Thirdly, they want the creation of a more transparent company culture through monthly all-hands meetings so all staff can better understand both the current and future priorities, responsibilities, and workloads of other departments. Why do you need to know that? It's none of your fucking business. Like, that's you're the cog in the machine, and I'm not saying that to insult you. It's just like the writer has his job, the artist has their job, the editor or whatever, which I don't know if they doesn't feel like they edit anymore. But everybody has their own individual jobs. The company at large has their own individual vision as well. I'm not sure why they feel the need that everybody needs to know what the fuck's going. Like, no, you perform your particular task. Fourth, they want to increase knowledge retention through implementation of detailed record keeping and procedure documentation for all tasks deemed essential to any given role. These documents are to include detailed and explicit descriptions and instructions for all expected job duties. I don't see how y'all are not already getting that in your contract work. Next, they state that they want to improve career mobility for all staff through stricter adherence to the company's stated intent to offer open positions up to qualified existing employees prior to opening them up to the public. Unfortunately, I think there's enough of that and too much of that right now in the industry. You wonder why Kelly Thompson, for example, I know this is a different company, continues to get work. It's probably baked in that they do get considered for future work as well, which is why she could write that fucking dud of a book in West Coast Avengers and then get put on Captain Marvel, which was a dud as well, but also then get fucking Black Widow and ongoing series for Deadpool, even though she is not good at what it is she does. The continuation of remote work for any employee who requested and the creation of a detailed policy outlining how the company provides reasonable accommodation and supplies to remote employees. The pandemic has removed the necessity for the company to pay for essential office space, utilities, true, with employees in some cases now shouldering 100% of the costs that should be shared by the employers, costs such as internet, power, furnishings, and other office supplies. Interesting. So they're thinking because they're working from home on their own stuff, and they're doing a job that the employer should be shouldering some of that load, as well as furnishings and office supplies, computer hardware and related maintenance costs to work from their own personal devices. The company must outline an equitable arrangement for sharing reasonable percentage of the cost. Better overall, this is also what we're going through it all. They want better overall product through the immediate addition of staff, particularly in production and marketing departments. Our creators, retailers, and readers can expect white glove attention for all books we publish, books which will go to the press with fewer errors, fewer delays, and a more robust marketing presence, due to more strategic approach to staffing and reasonable proportion to actual quantity of output we generate. It basically says, they're basically suggesting they want to control the company. They want a long-term actionable plan to address the overall lack of diversity. You knew it was coming, y'all. You knew it was on the way. Lack of diversity in both general staff and management. The authors, artists, and readers who bring comics to life have never been homogeneous, which no, they have not. So what the fuck are you talking about? We publish the story, and the stories we publish can only be improved by staffing our organization in a way that more accurately reflects the demographics of our creators, our readership, and the nation at whole. If they did that, you would be, a lot of y'all would be out of jobs, because there's, in fact, an overrepresentation. You see this, especially when you get into like the alphabet communities and agencies, and like you guys are overrepresented in terms of the population at large. But this is the thing. Someone's ability to tell a good story, which is what the comic books are all about, is not reliant upon the demographic of the individuals that create them, right? It's just the facts of the matter. Like this whole idea that it should represent the world at large looks at diversity as a merit, which it isn't. It's actually the complete opposite. What the makeup of your particular the thing that you're doing is shouldn't even fucking matter if you're just trying to be good at what it is you're doing. It's irrelevant. So if it becomes a majority, minority, whatever it is, as long as it's voluntarily arrived and the people that are getting, those gigs are the best, it's going to be reflected one way or another. But that doesn't necessarily make a knock on the product. It doesn't make a knock on the product at all. I wouldn't even quantify that by saying like necessarily. No, it doesn't at all. Because just because you have a bunch of different colors or genders or any of that involved in that does not then amplify or elevate your product. It doesn't do it at all. Are you talented? Are you good? So when they put at that as a bullet point, this company or this union's DOA. They also want renewed commitment to company values through the addition of collective voting option to immediately. Wow. Okay, this is a big deal. I'm gonna reread this in its entirety. Now, again, this is typical union shit, but listen to what it is that they want. This is what they want. Renewed commitment to company values through the addition of collective voting option to immediately cancel publication of any titles whose creator have been found to engage in abuse, sexual assault, racism, xenophobia, homophobia, the same old, it's all the same, Islamophobia, ableism, what else they say? Until such time as said creators have engaged in meaningful reparations toward affected persons. So basically, what they want to do is to be able to go to someone that they don't like, make some sort of arbitrary bullshit claim, probably even if it's done 10 years ago, cancel that person's publication or book or whatever it is, until they feel like they have been given the meaningful reparations, which is a vague, nonsensical term. when applicable. They just want to own it. That's basically what these guys are saying. This is what's so hilarious about unions and how they generally operate. They just want to own the company effectively is what it is they want. They want in on everything. Now, I say this as a person who, of course, has people that works with them and for them that I have contracted to help me do stuff. I generally tell them what they are getting into. We write that up in the contract. If there's something you disagree with, I'll meet you wherever I can meet you. And where I can't meet you, I can't meet you. But you're there to perform a task. I say this is a guy that's also done. I did a lot of ghostwriting, done contract work. My job is to whatever it is that contract entails and nothing more. But see, when you have an inability, like in these guys' cases, like with a lot of these unions, like they're not creators, right? They really exist as just being entitled, right? Instead of just looking at themselves as a person that is performing a task. Do your values align with the company's values? Maybe not. But that's, should go without saying. But the idea that you should then basically control effectively the company and what happens, what it puts out. Like, we're talking about comic books. So the comic book company, in order for them to be able to they basically effectively control the company. And you know what this means. Like when they say who have been found to engage in abuse, sexual assault, like those two are like sexual assault. That's a legitimate thing. Right. But when you get into some of these other things, like generally like this, the whole anti-Semitism and all of that, like that is vague, man. And racism, those terms don't mean anything. You done said something to someone else that they didn't like. And they done fucking now claim that you transphobic or some shit. You know what I mean? Like that's just a way for them. And we've seen this in comic book industry with this whole whisper network stuff, where they basically attempt to out people that they don't like and get you the fuck up out of there so they can then fill your spot. They just want to pimp the company and the image, I will say, do what y'all will. You know what I mean? If y'all end up destroying all of these mainstream big two, maybe the big five, or if you include the other ones, look, man, less competition, I guess, huh? Less competition. Unions, man, are just, they always present the company or like present it as if this is all about the employees, when really all they're trying to play is moral police, and they want to control the company, but they're not in that position. So they try to get together and look, I'm not against people voluntarily giving up information to each other as far as, trying to have a good work environment, because I'm all for that. I'm all for people bettering their work environment. But to better your work environment doesn't really entail you being moral police and being able to control the company. Like, those are not synonymous terms. But let these guys tell it is. Image maybe will let them exist. Or if they were smart, they fire them. If Image was smart, be like, all right, man, y'all can form y'all's own union. Congratulations. Y'all just won't be working for us. And I'm waiting for someone to say me saying that, because they think that, again, they conflate it too, right? You have to being pro-union means you're pro-worker, as if, no, I'm pro-individual. I'm pro-individual. And I know unions are full of shit as someone that's been a part of industries that have been a part of those. I'm all for bettering your work conditions. People being taken advantage of is not something that is a good thing. I will be the first to say that. But it's one thing to not be taken advantage of and shielding yourself from that, in comparison to, controlling the company, which is effectively what y'all want to be able to do.
You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.